supervisor on scene by any chance?
You want to talk to the sergeant, do you?
Yes, please.
Sure. And your name?
I'm not going to give it at this time.
Okay, well, just so I can tell the supervisor who you're going to come talk to, that's.
Hill, that's it. Hill.
Hill?
Yep. Those are all police vehicles, marked and unmarked. There's more around the side over this direction, around the side there. Audio recording?
Okay.
Just for your record.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes ago, I was photographing this area
Yeah.
for a video I'm working on.
Okay.
2 officers, I believe one was a sergeant, but 2 officers came out, asked me why I was here. Fair enough. I identified myself as a photographer
Okay.
with a news media outlet.
Okay.
I was here for approximately 10 to 15 minutes, after which I got in my vehicle and I drove away. As
Okay.
soon as the officers that were staying right here noted my vehicle, I pulled out, they immediately began pursuit, and they followed me all throughout town.
Pursuit?
Yes.
They threw their lights on and they tried to stop you?
No, but they tracked me. They effectively stalked me. I understand the definition that you see as
Okay,
pursuit.
when you say pursuit,
I
it
see
gets my heart
I
rate up a
understand.
little bit. Okay.
I presume a pursuit as being tailed or followed.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it was clear that they were following me because I made a number of evasive maneuvers, which they matched until I got too close to land back lane and they turned around.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, is this normal procedure, normal protocol for an officer to follow a member of the media because they don't like what I'm doing?
No, what I'd suggest to you is that we often follow vehicles and run plates to see if.
I'm just wondering why my plate was run.
Let me
Okay.
answer the question, please. We often follow vehicles and we run the license plates because we have computers in our car.
I understand
So
that.
we're checking for
A number of my
registered owner.
family members are police officers.
Okay, so you understand then, we're checking to see if the vehicle's licensed properly, whether it has a valid sticker, whether the driver or the registered owner is a suspended driver, anything like that. Sometimes there's delays in getting that information back, so we'll stay with the vehicle
understand.
until we get that information
I
back.
understand basic
And if there's
procedure.
nothing that comes up that sets off an alarm bell with us, like there's no, the driver's not, the registered owner's not suspended or anything, and the plates are valid and everything else, then we don't bother stopping the
I guess
vehicle.
yeah, fair enough. Then I'm just wondering what triggered those 2 units to follow me in particular, not this white truck, not the dozens of vehicles I've seen pass up and down. None of them got out in their vehicle and sped to catch up to me. They sped up to catch. They didn't say, "Oh, that vehicle looks like it might be out of code."
Right.
My vehicle is not out of code. I check it daily, in fact, to make sure that, because this has happened to me before.
Okay.
So to avoid getting ticketed for a burnt out light, failing to yield, expired tag, expired license, I make sure that all of that is maintained because I don't want to give them cause to search my vehicle.
Fair enough.
I'm just wondering what triggered that. Instead of using pursuit, what triggered that to be followed by 2 units?
There were 2 separate cars following you?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
In fact, one of them, I have them both on camera because my entire car is rigged. I haven't looked at the footage because I have to go back to my computer. But in fact, one of them, who's sitting in the lobby right now, has a dark beard. He was one of them. I could clearly see him.
Okay.
His beard was distinguishing. The other was another gentleman who also had a beard, but it was less noticeable. I couldn't quite make it out.
Right.
But I'm just wondering what triggered that particular
Watch out, there's a bee there.
following.
I don't have an answer to that question.
I know. You probably didn't order them out.
I tell you, I did not.
I know. But I'm just wondering if they were under orders to pursue me from their CO, or they just did it on a whim because they didn't like me filming.
Well, I don't have any. I can tell you what I know for certain is that nobody ordered anybody to do anything.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just a little bit concerned that if CHCH or City Paul CP24 showed up and they parked here legally,
right,
filming for some stock footage for either B-rolls, background,
Sure.
whatever,
Yeah, I understand.
would 2 marked cruisers, patrol units, start following CP around or CHCH around? Or is it just for people that they don't know, that they don't necessarily trust, that doesn't necessarily play access journalism? I'm just wondering.
I don't know how to answer that question for you.
So I'm just wondering who is the CO for those particular officers. Again, I can't identify the second one, but the first one has a dark, distinguished beard. I'm just wondering because I don't even want to speak to him, because he's not necessarily going to give me the answers I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak to his direct CO.
Well, I'm a sergeant, so I'm supervising the constables that are here at this.
So you're supervising all of them, even though they might be from
That's correct.
detachments? Okay.
I'm not from here either.
I understand.
So
I
we're from all over.
I recognize that there are all a whole bunch of different detachments out here by their markings.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned that anyone who shows up here, I made no aggressive statements towards the officers. I remained fairly calm, and then I was followed.
Okay.
I don't necessarily appreciate that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to suggest to you that you have rights, and there's processes in place that if you wish to file a complaint, you may do so. The OIPRD, the Office of Independent Police Review Director, you can download a form, and you can file a complaint with the OIPRD about any
It's very
interactions.
difficult to do that without a badge or unit number, and I don't know if I necessarily.
You still can do that.
I realize that, but how far is the investigation going to go? If there is no record that they were ordered to necessarily pursue me, they just did it on their own initiative.
I can't speak to the processes of the OIPRD.
I understand.
Our policy is that if somebody is displeased with something,
You
an
direct
action
them
of it,
towards.
we direct them
I
to
know.
the OIPRD.
But I'm just for there to be actual specific action, I'm going to need either a last name or some sort of identification number.
Okay.
I don't.
Did you get markings on the vehicle? Can you tell me what the vehicles are? Because there's lots of different
So,
kinds. So
when I pulled back,
Yeah.
when I pulled back in here, I saw 2 units
okay,
pulled in right behind me. Now, they weren't following me back in because I was successful in losing them.
okay,
But it is somewhat of a coincidence that 2 units pulled in just after me. So I suspect units that just came in before you came out were the same 2 individuals. Both had beards, and one of them was that dark beard. I
got a
realize.
beard. There's a. I'm not.
realize
I'm not.
probably
I'm
half
not
of them
pulling your
do.
chain. We
I
got
know.
a lot of officers.
Probably
with
half
beards.
of them do.
What I'm
I
saying
understand.
is the vehicles involved, were they SUVs? Were they cars?
No, they were both.
Are they the
Fords.
bigger cars or the
No, they were
smaller
the
cars?
Ford Taurus, I believe.
Did you get the numbers on the vehicles? 'Cause
Not
that
without
would be really
checking
helpful.
not without checking my dash cams.
Okay.
Front and back, but I can't do that without a computer.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, I'm not going anywhere, so I can
Okay.
give you my card, and if you get that
yes,
information
please.
to me,
Yes, please.
can you just wait 1 second?
Sure, I'll wait right
and
here.
get.
Yep.
What's your name?
I'm just gonna go by Hill.
Bill?
Yeah. If I could make 2 suggestions for what
Sure.
they're worth.
Yep.
First suggestion, if you are interested in finding out what just happened, pop in there, just ask for what 2 officers just came back. I'm 80% positive it was those 2 officers. And just ask them what was up. Was I doing something suspicious? Was I doing something that rose to the level of PC or RAS?
PC, sorry.
Probable cause, reasonable articulable suspicion. Like why did they jump into their units immediately as soon as they saw me get into my vehicle
Okay.
and peel out of here to catch up to me just to run my plate? Because what's going to happen now, I'm sure I'm already on a list now, and now I'm going to have to report in my story that I'm going to put together what just happened here, and it's not going to make anybody in the OPP look good. That they peeled out after me just to get me on a list. They didn't. Fortunately, I was hoping that they would have pulled me over.
Yeah. Well, you weren't pulled over.
I was not.
Right. So.
Which is saving grace, but I was hoping that I get pulled over because then at least I'd have a name.
Yeah.
But
sure.
they didn't pull me over, which was smart.
Yeah.
And but this is where the disconnect between community policing goes, right? I was just photographing. I wasn't messing with the door handles. I wasn't touching the vehicles. I had nothing on me but a single camera.
Okay.
So if I
Did
had
somebody approach you or talk
Yes.
to you about when you were
It
taking
was,
pictures?
it was a woman, I believe she was
Okay.
a sergeant, and she came up to me, and someone who looked fairly young, so maybe the junior officer
Okay.
came out, and he was the one that triggered her to come out because he radioed it in.
Okay.
And they came out to me, they asked my name, I didn't give it to them.
Okay.
They asked me if I was with the media, I said yes.
Okay.
They asked me if I had any questions. We can go under this
Yeah.
overhang. I'm waterproof, but maybe you're familiar. So, I didn't identify myself, but I did tell them I was the media.
Okay.
Again, if I had a can of spray paint or a rock in my hand, making sure there were officers stationed out here watching me to make sure I wasn't going to vandalize is absolutely reasonable. With a camera, quietly, no sign, I wasn't demonstrating any disorderly conduct, no disco, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering,
Well, certainly you have to appreciate our point of view that if we see people taking pictures of police property, we're going to certainly ask the question.
I have no
'Cause
problem with
That is
that.
not something that's
And
typical.
I also had no problem with the two officers that stood out here for the 10, 15 minutes while I was doing that. I didn't try to
Yeah.
intimidate them
No.
by showing a camera in
And
their
they
face.
did not intimidate you.
They did nothing wrong.
Okay.
They stood here.
Okay.
They just discussed amongst themselves.
Sure.
Eventually, when they saw that I wasn't going to let them see which car I got into,
Yeah.
they went in behind the tinted glass, and I could see them sitting there waiting to spot me getting into my vehicle. As soon as I opened my door, one officer came out. I pulled up. They couldn't see my plate because it was parked quite far away. That's when they got into their
Okay.
vehicles and pulled out.
Okay.
So I think this is how it should be done. Coming out to talk to me, fine. Standing out here, watching me, fine. But running me down, we'll move further in.
No,
Running
that's
me
good.
down is unnecessary.
Well, I appreciate your feedback, and I've told you that you have a process. There is a process in place. We don't. We always refer complaints about police behavior, et cetera, to the OIPRD. Okay, give them all the information you have from your incident, and they will take from there. It will process the OIPRD,
Yeah,
and they will reach out to you. And,
the last question I have, because
Yeah.
I don't want to time
that's fine.
when someone runs my name from their database, is that search a scope?
I don't have an answer to that question, but you may be able to talk to Rodney Leclerc. He's the media officer for Alderman County. Do you have his email?
Alderman County OPP?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Yes,
can
you
write his
use it
name on the back.
please. Yes.
'Cause he's typically the one that can answer
That's fine.
intricate details like that.
I'll email him because I just want to see if my name has been run, and if it has been run, if it's been stored or saved anywhere.
I just got to confirm his
Sure.
email.
Yep. No worries.
I just didn't know if his first name was full name or what.
Just the first initial.
Yeah. Okay, so
Thank you.
that's the media officer for Halton County. He answers to emails, so my information's on the front from Chatham, so this is not my district, so I'm fairly far from home, so if you have questions, my email's on there as well,
I
okay?
appreciate that. And I'm not going to tell you how to do your job.
Yep.
You're a sergeant. You've been here probably decades. Just follow up with those officers. At least have an informal conversation off the record.
I don't mind doing that. I need to know who they work for, so
I
if you,
understand.
like, that's
But
why I'm
just
asking you.
But just pop in there and just say, who followed the black
Right.
Kia? And they'll know my name because they ran
Okay.
my plates.
Okay.
And that vehicle may or may not be registered. So they might not even still have my ID.
Okay.
But ask them who followed the black Kia out to 1492. I'm sure they're going to tell me. So they'll just say, it was me. I'm not going to file a complaint. I'm not going to file
I just want to make sure you have the information,
I understand.
right?
I understand. I want to have a off-the-record conversation with them and just remind them how to act with the media. have action, you have steps that you can take to remedy that. But someone with a $4,000 camera that's taking pictures for a story and video for a story, I mean, I don't know, right? That also endangers some people. Some of my family are police officers. And so I'm not so nervous around the sight of a police officer or weapons, but if there's someone who does have issues, medical issues, anxiety, that could have triggered an accident just to get my plate, just to get my license, just to get the name of the owner of that vehicle, right? That's it. I won't take up too much of your time. Thank you for speaking with me. I appreciate that.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.